I'm joined today by Sam McAlister. Sam, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Nick?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Listen, the sun's shining. We're into summer. It's official now. I'm calling it.
You're not wearing mankini, though. That's good.
Absolutely not. That'd be too much for everyone. Listen, Sam, it's great. You came to the office a couple of weeks ago or so to meet the team, and they thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better and chatting to you. But one thing that stuck in my mind is you talked about your 3 top tips around the subject of negotiation. And the one that really struck him was your number 1, which was, you tell me.
Well, I mean, pardon for the language, Nick, forgive me. Don't be an arsehole.
And that really struck home because obviously that's my default position. So kind of to go away from that. But I think for me, is the question I've got around that, which really is, why are we in this position where we automatically assume negotiation means being an arsehole?
No, totally. I think it all comes down to this idea that it kind of like it's from school, it's from university, we're competitive people. So when we go into these situations, the thing I noticed since I was at law school is everyone goes into it like it's a boxing match to win. And that's like, I think the biggest mistake, because as soon as you go in to win, you're not listening to the other person. You're thinking about yourself, not them. You want to like close the deal. You want to make yourself look great. So the other person becomes completely irrelevant. So I think the biggest skill in negotiation is learning basically to make yourself smaller, to make them bigger, to be nice and to listen to what they say rather than just try and go in for the kill. And deconstructing the years and years that you've been told to go for the kill can be quite challenging, but it's super effective.
And from your experiences, obviously working with some of the best broadcasters, journalists, interviewers in the business, when they go and sit down and they're interviewing these personalities, is that advice you gave them, or does it naturally come to them over the fact that the aim isn't, and we'll move on to this later, to get the big scoopy thing, but actually to engage in the conversation? How do they kind of deal with that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it sounds a bit dumb, but before I was a TV producer, I kind of thought people like Paxman were basically like walking encyclopedias. I assumed it was like a barrister where you go to court and it's just you. Okay, someone passes you a note here and there, but it's all your brain. Now, in fact, of course, Paxman was an amazing example. He basically was an encyclopedia, but largely, right, what happens is they sit down with one of us, a producer, and we come up with that sweet spot. And the sweet spot is, if it's a politician or someone accountable, what is the killer question? That's what TV's all about, news television. So you'd sit down with the producer and you'd be basically riffing, trying to find out what that killer question is. That will be the one thing that all of you sitting at home would go, yes, that moment, that covers all the news. It's on all the front pages the next day. But it would really be depending on the individual presenter. So if he or she has that encyclopedic knowledge, they would just basically do it with maybe 10% producer input, 20%. And if they didn't, then it could be as much as 90%. So the first time I worked on Newsnight and I heard Paxman ask a question that I had come up with, my mind was blown. Reason 1, I'd never realized the questions were from producers. And reason 2, oh my God, Paxman's just asked my question. I'm not a complete idiot. So it's a real synthesis depending on the individual, but going for the kill, obviously with a politician or someone like Prince Andrew, is really what it's all about. That's the name of the game.
And do you kind of, in the art of negotiation, from your life, do you start at the end and work backwards about how you're going to get to where you're looking to get to? Or is it about kind of, let's come up with that killer question, and where it goes, we're comfortable with?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two. So I think the other mistake that people make when they walk into a negotiation is, the sort of the show off syndrome. I want to show off my knowledge. I want to show off what I know. And actually, it's a bit like, as far as I'm concerned, without the, the element at the end of the day, it's a bit like a first date. You really do need to be reciprocal. You're trying to get a second date. So what you want to do in that meeting is make sure, first of all, as we've said, that you're not an a-hole. Second of all, that you're listening to what they're saying. But you really need to do the human level. And people are uncomfortable with the human level. I think post-COVID, they're a bit less uncomfortable. But really, when push comes to shove, the thing that you need to know about the person that you're negotiating with or interviewing is what makes them tick, what is their sweet spot, what's going to knock them off, because you might want to avoid that or you might want to go for it, or what is it that really is the essence of them as a human being. And that doesn't come from a book or articles about them. That comes from being able to connect with people and work out things on the spot. And that comes with experience, with empathy, with patience, with listening, and with adapting.
I love that. Thank you. Let's talk about you for a minute. Obviously, a big thing coming up in July for you, the book, Scoop.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me how come? How you got to this place?
Well, it's a bit mad, Nick, because basically I haven't spoken about my role in that interview other than kind of like a couple of lines to GQ 2.5 years ago. And it really consumed my life for months and months and months. It was everything I thought of. No one else was thinking about it in the office. I hadn't even told my boss. Nobody else knew about the details and the minutiae. And to be a little bit pretentious for a moment, it is kind of like a moment in the history of our nation, because the outcome was profound and huge. So the book is really, to be honest, about 3 or 4 chapters about Prince Andrew and the stuff I've never spoken about, the negotiations, how it happened, why he did it, how did he do it, how did it all play out on the day. And then it's all the other chapters about, my life and all the other interesting people I've interviewed, like Julian Assange, Amy Schumer, that kind of vibe, Stormy Daniels, James Comey, Sean Spicer. So it's a smorgasbord of news delights. But obviously the end is hearing that exclusive story about how that interview happened.
And it's really interesting. Kind of, we talk. Kind of, do you consider that as a producer the pinnacle because of what I don't know what was achieved in the interview, for want of a better word, or do you kind of the amazing people that you've also interviewed and kind of with great success? Do you feel kind of actually there's an element which kind of it's across the board? Your career was an amazing career, or is an amazing career. Kind of, am I just going to be known for this scoop?
Yeah, of course. It's a mixed blessing. You have to be honest, right? Because obviously, if you ring certain people and you say, hey, this is the producer that negotiated the interview with Prince Andrew, they're going to be like, whoa, or they're going to be like, no. So it was a mixed blessing in that sense. But I have to say, once you've hit that kind of height, something that changed the fabric of our society on the pretentious side, and don't forget, brought us Pizza Express Woking and no sweat. So we changed the lexicon of the conversation of the whole of our country, which is mind-blowing to me. It's hard to hit that again, Nick, I'm not going to lie. So there have been other great moments, and I love negotiating. I love meeting people from all around the world and the interesting people, but you're not really ever going to hit that again. That was just once in a lifetime.
Sam, it's always so much fun speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to catching up soon.
Can't wait, Nick. Coffee on me.